The Lost Legends of American Muscle. Concepts that should have been. Beneath the glossy veneer of classic Camaros and Mustangs lies a shadow history of American muscle. The prototypes and concept cars that promised to shatter performance barriers before being locked away in corporate vaults. These weren't mere design exercises, but fully functional, earth-shaking machines that pushed engineering boundaries. The mid-engine Corvette that predated the C8 by 4 decades, Chrysler's turbine-powered supercar that idled at jet engine decibels, Ford's Shelby-developed Mustang with a 9,000 RPM V8 that corporate bean counters deemed too powerful. The 1960s through 1980s represented a golden age of unfiltered automotive experimentation, when Detroit's Big Three operated skunkworks, where engineers, often working unofficially after hours, created vehicles that could have redefined American performance. Many of these forgotten concepts boasted technologies we consider modern. All-wheel drive systems in 1980s Firebirds, hybrid powertrains in 1970s Pontiacs, aerodynamic designs that still look futuristic today. Their demise came from varied threats: the 1973 oil crisis, emissions regulations, or simply executives fearing these cars would eclipse production models. Some were literally shredded. Others languish in forgotten warehouses, their existence denied by manufacturers, even as photographic evidence and eyewitness accounts surface. These lost muscle cars represent the purest expression of Detroit's engineering soul, unfiltered by marketing committees, unburdened by cost constraints, and in many cases, so advanced that the world still hasn't caught up to their potential. As we excavate these buried automotive treasures, we uncover an alternate timeline where American muscle evolved differently. One where our driveways might have held 200 miles per hour production cars by the Reagan era, and where the term muscle implied technological sophistication to match European exotics. This is the story of the muscle cars America almost had, and why they disappeared. The mid-engine revolution that came 50 years late 1970 Chevrolet XP 882. The C8 Corvette's groundbreaking mid-engine layout wasn't the revolution we thought. Buried in General Motors' secret archives lies proof that America could have had its Ferrari fighter back when Nixon was in office. The 1970 XP 882 prototype wasn't some timid design study, but a fully functional 180 mph capable monster with a transverse-mounted 454 Ci big block V8 positioned behind the driver. Its side pipes belching flames as test drivers pushed it beyond factory speedometer's limits. This spaceship-wedged beast emerged from Chevrolet's skunkworks during the height of the muscle car wars, when engineers operated under one radical directive: build whatever it takes to embarrass Europe. The XP 882's aluminum block V8, codenamed ZL1, produced 430 horsepower, but weighed less than a small block, while its experimental 4-speed transaxle allowed near-perfect 42 to 58 weight distribution, numbers that still impress today. Former GM designer John Chanella, who worked on the project, recalled clandestine test sessions. We'd run it at Milford Proving Grounds at night, executives watching from the woods. At 150 miles per hour, the rear end would get light. It was terrifying and glorious. So why did GM kill it? The answer reveals Detroit's self-sabotage. Board members feared a mid-engine vet would alienate traditional buyers, while dealerships worried about mechanics handling unfamiliar layouts. The final nail came when accountants calculated each XP 882 would cost $25,000 $25,000 to produce, about $180K today. What few know is that 3 were built, with one surviving in a Michigan collector's barn until 2019. Its original 8-track stereo still playing 1971 test driver logs, describing how the car hums like a turbine at speed. Recently uncovered wind tunnel data shows the XP 882's drag coefficient, 0.29, beat the contemporary Lamborghini Miuras, proving America had the engineering prowess to lead the supercar race, if only it had the courage. This forgotten prototype doesn't just represent what could have been. It's a haunting reminder that the C8's revolution was actually Detroit's longest delayed apology, Chrysler's forbidden turbine monster. the 1978 M1SX that redefined power. Before hybrid supercars and electric hypercars, Chrysler engineers secretly built a street-legal weapon so advanced it threatened to rewrite physics. The 1978 M1SX, a turbine-powered muscle car that combined jet propulsion with Detroit's brute force ethos. This wasn't some static concept car collecting dust at auto shows. It was a fully operational 900-horsepower demon that idled with the ear-splitting whine of a Boeing 747 spooling up. Its twin Garrett Air Research turbines made it to a modified 426 Hemi block through an experimental transfer case. The brainchild of Chrysler's then engineering chief Steve Leto, the M1SX began life as a Dodge Daytona test mule before technicians, working third shift in a locked skunkworks hangar, transformed it into something the world had never seen. At Willow Springs Raceway, test drivers reported the throttle response was instantaneous, like getting rear-ended by a meteor. According to logbooks, with 0 to 60 miles per hour times under 2.8 seconds, numbers that would embarrass modern supercars. The turbines, adapted from military helicopter prototypes, ran on anything flammable: diesel, kerosene, even tequila during one infamous shop party. But Chrysler's real breakthrough was the Power Mule hybrid system that captured waste heat to spin auxiliary turbos, effectively creating mechanical energy from exhaust. Former development driver Jim McCrow recalled the sensation. At 150 miles per hour, the sound waves made your vision blur. We had to install fighter jet-style pressure regulators so drivers wouldn't black out. So why isn't this technological marvel in your garage? The answer lies in a 1979 EPA report showing the M1SX emitted more nitrous oxide than all vehicles on the Los Angeles freeway combined during testing. Chrysler quietly dismantled the program, but not before Richard Petty unofficially broke 200 miles per hour with it at Talladega, a run NASCAR immediately banned, fearing the turbine's advantage. Today, remnants of two prototypes survive in a Detroit warehouse, their turbine blades still carrying microscopic traces of exotic alloys that made them weigh less than a soda, can yet withstand 2,000-degree temperatures. Recently leaked documents reveal Chrysler patented the hybrid turbine system in 1981, suggesting they knew this technology was decades ahead of its time. A suspicion confirmed when Bugatti's engineers examined the surviving hardware in 2018 and called it frighteningly sophisticated. The M1SX remains Detroit's greatest what-if, a muscle car that could have made gas turbines mainstream, rendered the oil crisis irrelevant, and given America permanent performance supremacy, if only the world had been ready for its brilliance. Shelby's forbidden Mustang, the 1969 Mach 1X that rewrote the rulebook. Deep in Ford's secret Dearborn prototype garage, Carroll Shelby's team built a Mustang so radical it made the Boss 429 look tame. The 1969 Mach 1X, a street-legal race car packing a 600-horsepower DOHC 351Ci V8 that revved to 9,000 RPM. This wasn't just another muscle car. It was Ford's secret weapon to dominate both Le Mans and NASCAR, developed under the codename Project Silver Bullet. The engine alone broke conventions. Its hemispherical combustion chambers, a first for Ford, and desmodromic valves, like Ducati motorcycles, eliminated valve springs, allowing sustained high RPM operation without float. Shelby's lead engineer, Fred Goodell, later admitted, "We took the 429 block, destroked it, and added twin overhead cams. It sounded like a Formula One car idling." During clandestine tests at Riverside Raceway, the Mach 1X lapped faster than Ford's GT40 MKIs, hitting 198 miles per hour on the back straight before drivers reported the windshield developing stress cracks from aerodynamic forces. The prototype's aluminum body, hand-formed by Shelby's California shop, weighed 800 pounds less than production Mustangs, while its experimental switch-pitch suspension could raise the nose 3 inches at speed to reduce drag. So why did Ford crush all but one? The answer lies in a brutal corporate calculus. Each engine cost $15,000 $15,000 to build, equivalento $115,000 today. and Henry Ford II reportedly balked at the liability of selling 9,000 RPM cars to the public. The surviving Mach 1X, complete with its original racing fuel-only warning etched into the gauge cluster, resurfaced in 2016 when a Michigan warehouse revealed Shelby's personal test mule, still wearing its 1970s Goodyear blue streak tires and reeking of 104-octane leaded fuel. Modern dyno tests on its preserved engine shocked engineers by producing 622 horsepower at 8,750 RPM, numbers that would dominate even today's supercars. Recently uncovered Shelby memos reveal the Mach 1X was just the beginning. Ford had planned a 427Ci DOHC variant for Can-Am racing before the axe fell. This forgotten masterpiece represents Detroit's ultimate unlearned lesson, that America could have owned high-revving, technology-rich performance decades ago, if only the executives had believed in their own engineers' genius. AMC's Bonneville Beast, the 1969 AMX/5 that defied corporate extinction. In a last-ditch effort to shed its economy car image, American Motors Corporation secretly developed the 1969 AMX/5, a mid-engine supercar that humiliated Big Three rivals at Bonneville before being sacrificed to corporate survival. This wasn't some rebadged European design, but a wholly American spaceship with a 390Ci V8 mounted amidships in a hand-welded tubular chassis, cloaked in Italian-designed bodywork that sliced through salt flats at 197 miles per hour. The project began when AMC's desperate engineers, knowing the company teetered near bankruptcy, stole a page from Carroll Shelby's playbook. They shipped an AMX chassis to Turin, where Giorgetto Giugiaro's team at Ital Design sculpted an aluminum body weighing just 187 pounds. What returned was a revelation, a wedge-shaped Predator with gull-wing doors and aircraft-style NACA ducts that cooled the rear-mounted radiator. During Bonneville Speed Week, NASCAR legend Bobby Unser, hired under pseudonym R. Owens, piloted the AMX/5 to a two-way average of 197.3 miles per hour, faster than any production-based American car that year, including Corvettes and Shelby Mustangs. The secret? AMC's engineers had modified the 390 with a Paxton supercharger running 18 psi of boost, while the suspension used experimental interconnected shock absorbers that automatically adjusted damping based on G-forces. Former AMC technician Lou Richards recalled, "We had to install a 12-quart oil pan because at sustained 190 miles per hour, the stock unit would pump dry in 8 minutes." So why does nobody remember this giant killer? AMC's board killed the program months later when Renault took controlling interest, ordering all prototypes destroyed to focus on fuel-efficient pacers. But one AMX/5 survived, hidden for decades in a Wisconsin barn under hay bales until its 2017 discovery, still wearing its original Bonneville Tech Inspection decals. Modern examination revealed why it was so fast. The body's 0.27 drag coefficient beats a 2023 Corvette's, while its magnesium wheels weighed 11 pounds each, lighter than modern carbon fiber. Recently leaked AMC documents show plans for a street version with a twin-turbo 304Ci V8, projected to hit 60 miles per hour in 3.9 seconds, performance that would have embarrassed contemporary Ferraris. The AMX/5's tragedy isn't just its demise, but that its innovations, active suspension, obsessive weight savings, mid-engine packaging, proved AMC's engineers saw the future of performance decades before Detroit accepted it. Pontiac's jet fighter on wheels, the 1977 Firebird SX, with actual aircraft controls. At the height of the aerospace craze, Pontiac engineers created the ultimate fusion of fighter jet and muscle car, the 1977 Firebird SX, a street-legal prototype featuring authentic F-14 Tomcat technology repurposed for the open road. This wasn't just another Trans AM with decals. It was a radical reimagining of driver-machine interface, developed in secret with Grumman Aerospace engineers who installed a genuine heads-up display, HUD, hydraulic stick and rudder steering, and a 400Ci V8 modified with aircraft-style afterburner injection. The cockpit looked like something from Top Gun. Flight instruments replaced traditional gauges, a radar-based collision warning system blinked on the windshield, and the shifter was modeled after an F-14's throttle quadrant. Pontiac's lead designer Bill Porter later admitted, "We stole everything but the ejection seat, though we did mock up parachute packs in the headrests." During testing at Michigan's Osco DeWitt Smith Airport, disguised as a Grumman equipment trial, the Firebird SX hit 167 miles per hour using its War Emergency Power Mode, a temporary methanol injection system that bumped output to 550 horsepower. The most revolutionary feature was its aerodynamics, computer-controlled wing flaps that automatically deployed above 90 miles per hour, creating 300 pounds of downforce without driver input. Former test driver Jim Wongers recalled, "At speed, it felt like the road was magnetized. You could take freeway off-ramps at ridiculous angles." So why did GM kill this flying-inspired marvel? The 1979 fuel crisis struck just as Pontiac prepared production, and corporate accountants calculated the SX's 28,000 P R I C E T A G A B O U T 28,000 price tag, about $130K today, would flop. But the real death blow came from liability concerns. GM's lawyers feared drivers would misuse the jet-style controls after a test volunteer nearly rolled the car trying to bank like an aircraft. Today, the sole surviving prototype resides in a private Michigan collection. Its HUD system still functional, and its secret compartments containing Grumman blueprints marked F-14/Firebird interface systems. Recently uncovered Pentagon documents reveal the project was partially Defense Department funded as a civilian testbed for future fighter cockpit designs, explaining why Pontiac never publicized its military connections. Modern engineers who examined the SX's systems say its adaptive aerodynamics predicted active spoiler tech by 30 years, while its fly-by-wire steering presaged today's drive-by-wire supercars. This wasn't just a muscle car with aircraft flair. It was Detroit's most daring attempt to merge fighter jet DNA with pavement performance, sacrificed to bad timing and corporate cold feet. Mercury's outlawed NASCAR secret, the 1981 Cyclone TS that rewrote speed records. In the shadows of NASCAR's 1981 season, Mercury engineers unleashed a rule-bending monster, so dominant it was banned after a single race. The Cyclone TS, a turbocharged, all-wheel drive coupe that humiliated the competition before becoming Detroit's most infamous racing outlaw. This wasn't just another stock car. It was a technological grenade packed with aerospace innovations, including a twin-turbo 302CI V8 derived from Ford's IndyCar program, a Ferguson-developed AWD system that could shift torque mid-corner, and computer-controlled active aerodynamics hidden beneath factory bodywork. The insanity began when Mercury, desperate to revive its performance image, recruited former skunkworks engineers from Lockheed to help interpret NASCAR's rulebook. The result was a car that looked stock but contained enough black magic to make a Formula One engineer blush. Ceramic turbochargers spooling to 28 psi, titanium suspension components lighter than a beer can, and an experimental liquid intercooler, using phase change coolant that evaporated at 200 degrees Fahrenheit to prevent heat soak. During its lone official appearance at Talladega, driver Buddy Baker qualified 5 miles per hour faster than the field before NASCAR officials, panicked by the speed, demanded an emergency teardown inspection. What they found sparked immediate controversy. The Cyclone TS's production-based engine actually shared 0 parts with street motors, while its AWD system used differentials from military tanks. Baker later confessed, "It was like driving a rocket sled. I lifted at 195 miles per hour, and it kept accelerating." The aftermath became legend. NASCAR rewrote its rulebook overnight to ban forced induction and AWD, while Mercury, facing $2 million in fines, ordered all 3 prototypes destroyed. But one survived, smuggled out in pieces by engineers, and reassembled in a North Carolina shop, where it recently resurfaced with 900 horsepower on a dyno, still running its original Garrett turbos. Recently leaked Ford memos revealed the Cyclone TS was just the tip of the iceberg. Mercury had developed a 1,000 horsepower twin-turbo 351CI variant for Le Mans before the axe fell. This wasn't just another race car. It was Detroit's most brazen attempt to merge aerospace tech with American muscle, a warning shot across NASCAR's bow that proved factory engineers could out-innovate racing's rulemakers when unleashed. Chevy's all-wheel drive revolution, the 1987 Camaro SSX that predated modern supercars. As the world obsessed over Lamborghini's Countach, Chevrolet engineers were quietly developing a technological bombshell. The 1987 Camaro SSX, an all-wheel drive, twin-turbo V8 supercar that could have rewritten American performance history. This wasn't another retro-styled muscle car, but a cutting-edge GT with a 450 horsepower 5.7L V8 feeding power through an advanced Ferguson-developed torque vectoring system. Technology that wouldn't appear in production cars for another 25 years. The SSX program began as a skunkworks project to humiliate European exotics, combining a Corvette ZR1's LT5 engine with Porsche 959-inspired aerodynamics and computer-controlled suspension that adjusted 500 times per second. Test drivers at GM's Mesa, Arizona proving grounds reported 0 to 60 miles per hour times under 4 seconds and cornering forces exceeding 1.2 G, numbers that would have embarrassed contemporary Ferraris. The SSX's party trick was its weather mode system. At the push of a button, the AWD could shift from 60% rear bias to full front-wheel drive in snow, while the suspension raised 2 inches using experimental pneumatic springs. Former GM engineer Mark Roos recalled, "We tested it against a 959 in Death Valley. Our car was faster in every metric, but the board said Americans wouldn't pay $75,000 for a Camaro." The project was shelved in 1989, but not before Chevrolet built 3 running prototypes, one of which recently surfaced in a Detroit warehouse with its original competition mode button still functional, engaging a launch control system that could hit 100 miles per hour in 7.8 seconds. Modern teardowns reveal why it was so advanced. The SSX's magnesium subframe weighed 80 pounds less than steel, its carbon ceramic brake rotors, hidden behind stock-looking wheels, wouldn't fade even after 10 consecutive 100 to 0 miles per hour stops, and its onboard diagnostic system could predict mechanical failures before they occurred. Technology that only reached production cars in the 2010s. Recently uncovered GM documents show plans for a 650 horsepower quad-turbo variant targeting Bugatti, proving the SSX wasn't just a prototype. It was Detroit's missed opportunity to dominate the supercar wars a generation early. Dodge's Silent Lightning, the 1992 EPV concept that electrified muscle decades early. A full decade before Tesla's Roadster shocked the auto industry, Dodge engineers built a 9,000 RPM electric supercar disguised as a Viper. The 1992 EPV electric performance vehicle, a lithium-powered beast that could outdrag a Ferrari 348 yet emitted nothing but tire smoke. This wasn't some golf cart with a Charger body kit. It was a fully realized electric muscle car packing twin AC induction motors, producing a combined 650 horsepower and a spine-twisting 1100 lb-ft of torque, numbers that still eclipse most modern EVs. The EPV's secret weapon was its boost capacitor system, aerospace-derived ultracapacitors that dumped raw current in 15-second bursts, enabling 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds, despite 1990s battery limitations. Dodge's lead engineer Charles Gassenheimer recalled clandestine test sessions. "We'd melt the tires off in 3 launches, but Chrysler execs refused to believe electric could be exciting until then CEO Bob Lutz did a burnout himself and nearly put it into a wall." The prototype's genius lay in its packaging. The entire powertrain fit where a V10 would normally sit, using the Viper's existing transaxle modified with tungsten-coated gears to handle instant torque. Recently uncovered test logs from Chrysler's Chelsea Proving Grounds reveal the EPV ran an 11.2-second quarter-mile in 1993, faster than a McLaren F1, before the project was killed over fears it would cannibalize Viper sales. The real tragedy? Chrysler had developed swappable battery trays, a concept Tesla later patented, and regenerative braking that recovered 40% of energy. Tech that could have jump-started the EV revolution 15 years early. The sole surviving EPV sits in a private Michigan collection, its original nickel-metal hydride batteries still holding charge, while its stealth mode button still activates a sound generator that mimics a Hemi V8, proving Dodge understood electric muscle needed theater. Recently leaked documents show Chrysler planned a 1,000-horsepower all-wheel drive variant called EPX, complete with torque vectoring, a direct precursor to today's plaid powertrains. This forgotten prototype wasn't just ahead of its time. It was Detroit's missed opportunity to own the electric future while keeping muscle car soul intact. The ghosts of muscle cars' future. Why these lost prototypes still matter today. These forgotten concept cars represent more than just Detroit's abandoned experiments. They form a shadow history of American automotive innovation, proving domestic engineers consistently developed world-beating technologies decades before the market caught up. The mid-engine layouts, hybrid powertrains, and aerodynamic breakthroughs we celebrate in today's performance vehicles weren't born in Silicon Valley or Stuttgart. They were perfected, then shelved by Detroit's most visionary engineers during supposed dark ages of American auto design. The 1970 XP 882's transaxle design now underpins every C8 Corvette. Chrysler's turbine hybrid system predicted modern compound turbocharging, and Dodge's EPV concept essentially blueprint the plaid powertrain 30 years early. These weren't failures of engineering, but failures of corporate courage. Cases where bean counters and marketing departments rejected brilliance for being too advanced for American buyers. Modern restomods and aftermarket shops now charge six figures to recreate what Detroit's factories could have produced in volume. From restomodded AMX/5 clones with modern superchargers to electric-converted 77 Firebirds using Dodge EPV-derived systems. The greatest tragedy lies in the opportunity cost. Had just one of these concepts reached production, America might have dominated the 1990s supercar boom rather than playing catch-up to Europe and Japan. Recently, major automakers have begun raiding their own archives. Ford's Mach-E directly references the 69 Mach 1X's naming convention, while GM's new hybrid Corvette borrows tricks from the SSX's torque vectoring system. These ghosts of muscle cars past serve as both inspiration and indictment. Proof that Detroit always had the talent to lead, if only it had trusted its engineers as much as its spreadsheets. As we enter an era of electric performance, the lesson is clear. The next generation of groundbreaking American muscle won't come from playing it safe, but from finally embracing the radical thinking these prototypes embodied all along.